Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Let's get thinking story time with Miss J. Let's get reading story time with Miss J. Come on. Hey friends, in your neck of the woods, it might be Valentine's Day, but in my neck of the woods, it is Frederick Douglass's birthday. I want to share a little bit about him with you and also some great stories that can help you learn all about it. Frederick Douglass was born enslaved, and when he was a young child, he was taken away from his mom. She did not get to see him very often, but when she did, she brought him a heart-shaped cake to show him that she loved him. That's why my first recommendation for a book about Frederick Douglass is this one, Love 12 Miles Long. This book talks about Frederick Douglass's relationship with his mom, how she walked those 12 miles to see him when she could, and all of the love and wonderful memories they shared. In fact, it was those memories that led Frederick Douglass to choose Valentine's Day as his birthday. This leads me to the second book I recommend, Frederick Douglass, Voice for Justice, Voice for Freedom. This book goes a little bit more in depth about his life, but it really talks very clearly about the heart cakes that his mom chose for him and his reasoning for choosing Valentine's Day for his birthday. Really, anything you want to know about Frederick Douglass, you can get from this book, and it is in a very kid-friendly but truthful way. Many slaveholders did not care enough to keep enslaved families together, so Frederick did not live with his mother. He only got to see her a few times in his life. That very clear, direct language really helped children understand what was happening, but is also really truthful about the reality of being enslaved. If you want a very, very kid-friendly story, I recommend Bread for Words. It talks about how Frederick Douglass learned to read. If you know the show Xavier Riddle and the Secret Museum, it talks a little bit about this part of Frederick Douglass's story. This part of his story is kid-friendly because it talks about learning, reading, and really doesn't go a lot into the idea of enslavement directly. You might have to talk about it a little bit just to talk about why he could not read at all, but the story is really about Frederick being clever and the drive to learn. I also really enjoy the pictures. Finally, you might know this series of big word stories. This one is called Fredericks Journey, and the front has a great portrait of him. The paintings in this book are really a really integral part of the story. Because of that, they're very detailed, and I think you can read them with young children. I've read them with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, but you do need to stop and talk about what's happening. For example, this is one of the images. It's showing Frederick being taken away from his mother and her anguish. It also directly shows the faces of white people and what they might have looked like. There are a lot of questions that I get from young children about what white people were doing at the time. It's important to give a really balanced view so that children can see themselves that they're white and also understand that not everybody does the right thing. This book takes a couple of days to get through with young children because you stop so much. But because it has so much information, they walk away knowing a lot about Frederick Douglass and usually wanting to learn more. It's one of my favorite books to read, and we have read all of these books in my kindergarten class. That means 4, 5, and 6-year-olds are learning all about these things. So those are the books I recommend for Valentine's Day, which I really think about as Frederick Douglass's birthday. Frederick made history in a lot of ways, but not many people know about this. Frederick was a grown man when he decided to choose a birthday for himself. Frederick thought about his mother. He remembered that day she came to his rescue. It was in February, and he remembered the heart-shaped cake that she had made for him. Frederick decided to honor that memory of his mother and the love that she showed him by choosing February 14th as his official birthday. What we now know is Valentine's Day. Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Let's get reading story time with Miss J. Let's get thinking story time with Miss J. Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Hey, 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 it's story time with Miss J. Happy reading.